There we are. Hello, hello, hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Brian. I am joined by lots of people, and if I get my keystrokes right, there they are. Hello, people.
Hello.
Glad to see you. Ellen and Andy and Rita and Ellis and Patricia and Ann and everyone I haven't yet said good morning to. Good morning. I'm so glad that you guys are all here. This is a Saturday service. It is a different way of approaching religion. Well, it's not that different from last week. Pretty much the same as
Ah,
last week. Um, well, I think it's going to be the same as last week, where we start with this and we have a little discussion. A bunch of us joined this call a little early. I wanted to show a quick funny for the group. Zoom meetings are just modern seances. There's somebody who wants to join us. Elizabeth, are you here? We can't hear you. Can you hear us? I thought that was very clever. All right. Um, so good morning. Glad you guys are all here. Microphones are unmuted. There are people who are here as co-hosts. If you have any questions, please put something into the chat or ping any one of the people whose names say co-host if you have a question. If you're new here, you're welcome. You are welcome here. We're glad that you're here. And I don't want to embarrass anyone by shouting out, "Hey, new people, please raise your hands." Glad you're here. We are going to start with. I have a psychic prediction. Cue the woo woo music, please. Can I get my woo woo music, please? Here goes my psychic prediction. My psychic prediction. I'm pretending like I'm just getting it. I already have it. It's written down here. Okay, my psychic prediction. I predict, and this is the work of a woman named Miriam van Dijk. She's from the Netherlands, and she does a lot of teaching on nonviolent communication. And I'm taking an idea of hers, and I'm putting it in prediction form. So it goes like this. Here's my prediction. Ooh, you person in the next, it's cloudy on how far the distance is. It could be in the next day. It could be in the next week. I don't know when it is. But here's the prediction. You, my beloved friend, are going to set a boundary with someone. And you are going to be proud of yourself for setting a boundary to be able to take care of yourself in the face of taking care of someone else. And the prediction gets more clear than that. You are going to set a boundary and you are going to be proud of yourself for setting a boundary. Oh, and this part's just coming in. And the person with whom you set the boundary is going to be angry. They are not going to be as proud of you as you are for setting the they're actually going to be they're going to test your boundary. Yeah, no, that's it. That's all. Cue the fuzzy music. Thank you. Thank you. That is my prediction for sometime in the next day to week. You will set a boundary, and the person with whom you set the boundary will not be as appreciative of it as you are proud of yourself. If that comes to pass, would you please let me know in the next week? I'm new at this prediction game.
Should we send you a sticker?
Well, you can. You were his professor.
I actually got a sticker from Alex in the mail over the past week. So thank you. Thank you, Alex, on behalf of everyone. Alex sent me a sticker. So yay. Okay, that was our prediction. Let me get to my outline.
Why are they angry?
Okay, and Lori.
Rabbi, there was a question. Why are they angry?
Oh, why are they angry? Because you set a boundary with them. Because you said no. And they were expecting you to say yes.
You took some of their
Boundary.
power.
Yeah, Jane, my beloved, says that one of the things you can be sure of is when you set a boundary. So let's say you set a boundary in preparation of something. She says when you set a boundary, you better expect them to test your boundary. It's like if you put a tiger in a cage, the tiger's going to walk around the perimeter of the cage to figure out what's in there. You set a boundary with someone's going to test that boundary. Because they didn't ask for that boundary. Okay, good. Da 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 da. Lori, the Religion Outside the Box intern. Congratulations, Lori. Would you tell us 3 things you've learned in the last week? And Lori and I did talk about this, and these are not necessarily things that were learned in the context of Religion Outside the Box. They're just 3 bullet points, things that Lori learned. Go ahead, Lori.
This time they were all religion outside the box things, but I learned when we did the exercise, we were encouraged to say, I'm enough. I really struggled with that because I've had some recent parenting issues. And so it was a good exercise because I spent a lot of time over the next week trying to figure out why I didn't feel like I was enough as a parent, and it helped me. I also learned that by being vulnerable and reaching out to someone else who's made themselves vulnerable for me and sharing their story really helped. I'm usually the helper and not the helpee, and this role reversal was a blessing in a time of need. Shout out to Alex, who isn't here today, but she really helped me. And the other thing was last week I made a comment that someone deserved our compassion because she had given out so much love throughout the years, and Rabbi noted that this is not a quid pro quo thing. And it was very eye-opening for me, and I realized that I got a lot of that from my family of origin. And my mother was always saying, I was good to them, therefore they should be good to me. And I realized that being part of a community means that you're good to others without expecting anything in return.
Thank you, Lori.
This was a pretty deep week.
It was a great week. I encourage everyone. I have only so much power. Lori is a Religion Outside the Box intern, so I said let's have you say 3 things that you learned and collect things you learned. Lori, of course, has the right to say no. I only want to do 2 or whatever. We can negotiate. We're adults. I'd like to encourage you, if you've never in the course of the week sat to remember 3 things that you've learned, to just try that as an exercise. It's amazing how just the looking for it helps awareness and helps us to learn things. Hey, quick show of hands. I'm going to do the thing where we can see each other on the screen. Hello, people. Quick show of hands. How many of you like asking for help? We got a few. How many of you do not like asking for help? Okay. Did that seem like what you thought it would be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's hard to ask for help. It's hard to be vulnerable. And while I have everyone on the screen, we're going to be talking today about enoughness. And I don't think any of us feel like we are ever enough. And I wanted to start, and Ron, I'll get right to your comment. There's one thing that Larry says, and I think he's right. He says that good people never feel like they are enough. Good people never feel like they did enough. Good people never feel like they are doing enough. I leave that as a hold on to that idea. That if you think I am not enough, maybe that's because you're a good person. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, I'm just, I was just going to say that I found that wasn't a C.S. Lewis quote,
Oh,
but
Oh,
I'm sorry, I just can't give it up
I'm
sometimes.
with you. So for
same,
those of you
same
who are,
here.
I put
let me,
I put the link into the comments, into
thank
the
you.
chat.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Ron, you
okay.
are one of those people. I do the same. You gotta Snopes and
I do
fact
the
check,
same.
make sure. So this is not a C.S. Lewis quote.
it's attributed to him frequently.
Well,
Right.
well, that's nice. So we were discussing this before the service. It's a beautiful quote. I'm gonna put my little arrow on top of the part where it says C.S. Lewis. Oh, I can just run it off the screen. Whoops.
Oh,
The quote was the quote still had some beautiful meaning to it. I
Yes.
sat with anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief. It's not exactly on our topic of enoughness, so I'm going to jump away from this. Before we hey, look. That's got Hebrew on it.
Ah. Ooh.
I'm going to read to you guys in Hebrew in a second. Cuz you know what? I have the capability. So this is from the Talmud. Let me set everyone's minds back. The Talmud is in the year 200, approximately. The Talmud, I'm sorry, this is the first part of the Talmud. The Talmud will be written down in the year 500. Oh, I've been reading a lot of Bart Ehrlman on the early Gospels and how inconclusive the Gospels are that were written in around the 2nd century. This is supposedly written in the Mishnah in the year 200. And I have to say that if the New Testament is all boggled up in scribal errors, I don't know why the Mishnah is considered to be exactly written as Judah the Prince wrote it in the year 200. I got to do some studying on that. But any which way, we are in the very first part of the Talmud, which is the Mishnah, and this is something called Pirkei Avot, which is the wisdom of the fathers, the ancestors' wisdom. And it says here, Ezehu Ashir, who is wealthy, Hasameach, the one who is happy, Bechelko, the one who is content with what they have, and that's down here too. Who is rich? Who is rich? He who rejoices in his lot. And then they give a chapter and verse because that's the way that Christian fundamentalists do it to this day. And we started it, which is you give a chapter and verse, and that proves that what you just said is absolutely true, and nobody better question you. So it says
BCE.
Oh, no. No, thank you for asking, Emily. This is all CE. This is after the destruction of the temple. Oh, let me give a quick little overview. Okay. Hi. History professor here. Not really, but let me just give you a little bit of history. Up until the year 70, and this is right, so all of Jesus's life, the temple is still standing in Jerusalem. So long as the temple is standing, everyone is making sacrifices. What are sacrifices is you bring your goat or your sheep or your cow to the priest. The priests open up the cow, look at the cow's liver, and say, oh, look, there's some yellow here. That means you will be setting a boundary with a dear friend soon. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Jeff, for being the only ones to laugh at the joke. So the temple goes until the year 70 when Rome destroys the temple. When Rome destroys the temple, there's a question of how do you then worship God, and what do you do with all the words that were in the Bible that are supposedly God's words that you can no longer fulfill? So there are two main movements. One is going to be the Jesus movement that says we're going to take this as interpretation. We're going to live according to the way Jesus lived, except for the ways that we don't want to live the way Jesus lived, and we're just going to conveniently ignore those parts. That's one way. The way to do it is this Mishnah, which is the Mishnah, and then later the Talmud is going to explicate how do we live, what are the rules we should be living with in the absence of the temple. This section that we're looking at in the Mishnah from the year 200, so it's 130 years after the destruction of the temple, thereabouts. This is just wisdom. This is not laws. These are just wisdom. So the question is, who is rich? And the answer is, whosoever is content with their lot, whoever rejoices in their lot. And that's what I want us to talk about today. I want us to talk today about, oops, please hold. I want us to talk about this word. I don't know how this discussion is going to go because this is live, because you are here to have this discussion. I want us to talk about enoughness. Who is rich? Whoever is content with what they have. That's enoughness. I don't think many people are content with what they have a lot. I think we're really discontent with what we have. And we always are searching for more. Let me ask, in these categories, do you have enough? Do you do enough? And are you enough? Do you have enough? Do you do enough? And are you enough? And
yes, no, sometimes.
Yes, no, and sometimes. Do you have enough? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you do enough? Sometimes. Yes? What was that one, Missy?
That was no for me.
Do you do enough? No. And are you enough? Sometimes. I like that. So we got a yes, no, and a maybe. Other people in Missy's boat? If you're just going to give a quick answer to each of them, do you have enough? Do you do enough? And are you enough?
Well, if you are enough, then you do enough sometimes as well. It's not quite a no.
So if you're going in the other order, is if you can get to I am enough, then you no longer need to do or to have.
Well, no, you do need to do it to have, but it's not no. She
Correct,
said to do enough is no, and it's not no, it's sometimes, because sometimes when you are enough, you are doing enough because you are enough.
I like that, Jeff. So if you're able to start down at the bottom, you can influence the other two pretty hard.
Correct.
That sounds wise to me. I did research on this because I knew that you would be here. Well, I didn't know you would be here, but I knew this group was talking about enoughness. And I didn't see anyone say anything about what you're talking about, Jeff. That if we get to the idea of we are enough, then it eases the pressure on do and have. So somehow, if we have enough and we do enough, it should be that we are enough. I'm not saying that's right, but that seems to be implied.
Well, it's how we think. It's how we think about all of it. And
go ahead, Ellis.
And oftentimes we do not think the real truth about ourselves because it's so mixed up with peer pressures, our society, our beliefs of what is and what isn't good and all that stuff. And it's all how we think about it. So we can actually understand that we are enough, we're good enough, we've done enough. We can understand that all of that is true for us and quit comparing. That's the biggest problem is we compare all the time.
Yeah. We came on that quote a few weeks ago from Teddy Roosevelt, that comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Except when you're doing the thing with, I was sad that I had no shoes till I saw the man with no feet, in which case comparison is the helper.
Comparison.
But there's an old phrase that says, I was sad that I had no shoes till I saw the man with no feet.
Yeah.
That there, in that case, the comparison is not a thief of joy.
No caller.
In that case, comparison is helping us out a little. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take comments from people. Now, people who already have your hands up, I might give you some rules that you did not know that you were going to be entering into when you raised your hand that you were going to speak. So you are forgiven if you're off of these rules. But what I'm really looking for in comments today is I really want to hear comments in the first person singular. Not we all need to detach ourselves from da 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 da, but I need to detach myself. Something that I've learned. Not you need to know, but I need to know. So again, you put your hands up before the caveat was in place. Go ahead, Al, then Ray. Oh, good to see you, Ray. Al, then Ray, then Ann and Michael.
Yeah, hi. I just thought it was funny that after sharing what for me is a very emotional question about am I enough? Do I have enough? Am I doing enough? We launched into this like logical exercise of which one reinforces which one, and that's
Okay.
just totally antithetical to my experience of it. It's very much a feeling. I
That
don't know
enough.
which one influences which one, but I can feel high on one and low on the other all at once.
Thank you, Al. Thank you, Al.
Sure.
Well, I don't want this to be intellectual. I want this to be heartfelt. And the feeling of enoughness, and I think it fluctuates. Like there are days that I feel, and that's what Missy said, there are days that I feel enough. And there are days I don't feel enough. And it's just a feeling. And boy, can other people influence that feeling hard. Like the person who yells at me in the parking lot. They sure make me feel like I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ray.
Amen.
Well,
Ray,
for
then Ann.
me,
Go ahead.
I have enough. I do what I can, and I am enough for me. And that's the only person I really have to satisfy is
Oh,
me.
beautiful.
And you'll never satisfy people who want you to be more than you can be.
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
This is also, I'm going to point out before Ann, this is also a Sabbath right now. And this idea of a Sabbath is saying we have enough. Let's take one day to not strive. Let's take a day to be content. Go ahead, Ann, then Michael, then Missy.
I thank you, Ray, for setting up what I was going to say. I am aware that I have feelings myself, but I also like to look around and see where did all of those feelings come from. Some of them came from my own introspection. Some of them came from outside. And there
Yeah.
are many different parts to outside, including our entire economic system, at least in the US, that we live in depends upon our thinking that we are not enough and we have not enough and we do not enough. Our
Amen.
entire economic system would collapse if we did not if all of us, enough of us, did not internalize that. So I thank you, Ray, because I really appreciate what you said.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann. Thank you. Oh, hold on 1 second. Yes, I need a lot of things at Costco. Go ahead. Michael P.
Michael P. Oh, all right. Give me just 1 nanosecond. So, for me personally, the not enough issue is and has been for most of my life and still is a core element of my psychology. And to that end, I do appreciate and be grateful that I have a religious. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. There was just a rogue microphone.
And I'm grateful that I, as a rabbi, found and was educated into a religious structure called polydoxy that encourages me to face my psychology, which is a central element of my existence. And it is a very, very hard road, but our community, which I identify as polydox, whether it is or not, is everybody's right to figure out, encourages the possibility that life is finite and not infinite. Right. So the broadness and the space that I get from this group, even though, is very valuable and runs parallel to the examined life that I've chosen. And it's a very, very hard road. And I am blessed that I can touch base with all of you in the process.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Missy.
So Missy? One of the things that came to me in the, yes, one of the things, can you hear me, Rabbi, everybody?
Not
Sometimes
really
I have
well.
a bad internet connection.
Can you turn your video off, maybe? No.
Yeah, I'll try that.
And then let me just say
one of the things that came.
Go ahead. Now to try it.
One of the things that came to me about whether I can feel like I'm enough and the other two be in place at the same time was that one of the things I can do when I don't feel like I'm enough is something for someone else. So the part about do I do enough, when I said no, my thinking was, do I do enough for other people? Do I do enough to be busy, or do enough to make enough money, or do I do enough to, measure up to somebody else? It was, do I do enough for other people? And that will help with the, do I feel like I am enough?
Thank you. We have some control over this, and you're right, Missy. If we do for others, it can help us feel enough. I want to rewind for a moment, and I want you to imagine, not Missy, because it was Missy, but I want everyone else to imagine you had put your electronic hand up. It was your time to speak. You started to speak and your internet starts flipping and freezing and glocking. And do you feel panicked? I do. Do you feel panicked because you're wasting everyone's time?
No.
Some people, some don't.
No.
Let me ask it a little bit differently. Were you more compassionate on Missy than you would be on yourself?
No.
Nothing doesn't apply.
No on Michael, no on Letta, and got a yes on Carolyn and a yes on Gordon. No. Okay. Different people, different things. Connie, thank you. Yes. Thank you for voting. Yeah. Connie, I got a little lost which side you were voting on, though.
Yes. I'm harder on myself than others.
Yeah. Does that break everything? Yeah. I heard a voice.
Yeah, it's Lita.
Go ahead, Lita. Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. I wanted to comment on the saying, I felt bad because I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet. I think a person has to have a certain amount of maturity to take that in the proper way. When I was a child and my mother would take me to buy shoes in a shoe store in Philadelphia, there was that sign at the cash register. There was always that sign. And as soon as I was able to read, I would read that sign as my mother was purchasing my shoes. And I always felt bad about getting shoes as a child.
Oh, honey. Oh.
Yeah.
Could you repeat what the saying is? I didn't take it serious. Could you repeat it? Because now it's taking on a meme. What was that thing about the feet?
I felt bad that I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet.
Oh.
Do you get it, Michael?
I felt bad in that. Sort of, yeah. It's pretty powerful.
I didn't get it. Say it again.
I felt bad that I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet.
Jeez, yeah. That's pretty tough.
Okay. I think it goes back to, and we're going to go into small groups, and that's
Meg had her hand up.
Oh, okay. I'll be right with Meg. I'm going to set up. Maria, if you can get us ready to go into small groups. Go ahead, Meg.
I did some thinking on this enoughness, and one of the things I realized that if I can say to myself, I am enough, that allows me to have unconditional positive regard for myself.
Wait a second, Meg. Are you talking about unconditional positive regard?
Yes, it's a phrase I heard from, oh God, it was somebody out on the
Carl
West.
Rogers.
Well, okay, it was Carl Rogers, but I really remember the rabbi saying it more than I remember Carl. But it just made...
It's unconditional positive regard. If you have unconditional positive regard for yourself, go ahead, Meg.
If you can say, I am enough, it makes it much easier to recognize the unconditional positive regard. And sometimes I can even apply that to other people.
Very
Not
good.
always, but sometimes.
So we're going to go into small groups where you're going to get a chance to explore the idea of I am enough. Am I enough? And to be able to do that, not broadcast to the internet, but be able to share with groups. We're going to be doing groups for 8 minutes. Anybody caught complaining about how long the groups last will be punished by their own anger.
You keep making new rules all the time.
Excellent.
I think I'm just making that one explicit. I think it's always been the case. Maria, are you ready to so in the small groups, talk about how do you feel saying I am enough? Does that bring up emotion for you? Are you where Lori is, where saying I am enough doesn't feel right as you'd like it to? And Lori, I thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that, and for sharing it as just a human thing. Maria, are we ready with small groups?
We are. I'm going to open them.
Maria, drop me, will you please?
I don't know who said that, or
It's John.
John, what did you want me to do for you?
I've just arrived at my destination. I have to get out and do parking, and so leave me out of the small groups.
Okay.
I will see about coming back in a little while.
Okay.
Right. Thanks.
All right. I still got Ruth. Hi, Ruth. You're on mute, but it's good to see you. And I have a frozen Greg and Shmuley and Jordan. Good morning. Good morning, Ruth. Ruth, how do you do with the topic of saying I am enough?
Not well.
Not well. And you've had 91 years to practice.
There's that nasty little bug inside that says you should have.
You should have.
I should have done this, or I should have done that.
Second guessing always.
Yes.
Second guessing.
On the other hand, I see from the people that I'm dealing with mostly that I have done enough.
Oh, interesting. So those are coming up together. The idea always that I am not enough, and then the idea from others that you are.
Right.
And you're believing more and more that you are enough? What magic are you doing to make that happen?
Yes. Yes, until something goes wrong.
I like that. I feel like I am enough, except when I don't.
That's correct. Okay. That is correct.
Yeah. Maria, you're welcome to join in or to recluse yourself. Oh, and I forgot. I wanted to include the people who are on Facebook. There's Patsy. Oh, hold on, Patsy. I made that way too small. Do you see that on my screen? Shit.
Which one are you trying to?
You see there's this little blob on my screen. I got Patsy's face, but no comment.
The considering unconditional positive regard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She posted considering unconditional positive regard brings up tremendous sadness.
Oh, there we go.
Consider.
Can you share about that?
Well, I mean, I can't share for her other than I do find that a difficult concept. This unconditional part.
Yeah. Unconditional positive regard. In my best moments, I have that for my children and for my beloved. In my best moments, I have unconditional positive regard for them. And there's Marilyn. Hi, Marilyn. I am here too. And Shirley. Shirley sends a heart. Thanks, Shirley. Bringing up unconditional positive regard brings up tremendous sadness. Can you help me understand that a little bit, Maria, or Ruth, or anyone else? Why does unconditional positive regard bring up sadness?
It brings up sadness because I have a list of I should haves.
And the unconditional positive regard says that you're good.
If I had done this, or if I had done that, it would have been better.
It would have been enough. I'm thinking we're gonna play a round of Dayenu in a moment.
That's right. Exactly, Rabbi Diane.
Unconditional positive regard. If I have unconditional positive regard for myself, I would have imagined that triggers a sense of enoughness. I have unconditional positive regard for myself, for other people.
But that implies that you have it, or you can get there. If I don't have it, or I'm not even sure that I can get there.
That's what Pat's saying. Just considering it is hard enough.
Yeah. Then I can feel it's one of those things where I feel like I've failed.
Oh, my friend Asher has a bigger comment. Let me see if I can get that. It can vary a lot day to day, the feeling of being enough. Yeah, absolutely. Knowing it is our perception that we can try to improve rather than something concrete is comforting, at least. Yes. That our sense of enoughness, it's not fixed. It's not. I guess that's the trick. Is it's not you are only going to have this much enoughness today. It's something kind of like breathing, where breathing happens by itself, but I can also control it. That how enough I feel is somewhat fixed, but I can control it too. Right? We have some control over how enough we feel.
Yes, what part of it?
Say it again, Ruth.
The yes, but.
Yes. We have control over how enough we feel. Yes, but. I think that also hits us is I would like to feel enough. I don't feel like I'm enough. Am I the reason I don't feel like I'm enough, Maria? Ruth? I hate to blame me for not feeling like I'm enough when I'm not feeling like I'm enough. That feels kind of cruel.
Yeah.
I don't know about Maria, but for me, this was a seed that was implanted when I was a very little child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ruth, you didn't grow up with this notion, and a lot of our Christian friends did grow up with this notion of original sin. A lot of people grow up with this notion that from the very beginning, before they were born, there's something wrong with them that they didn't do anything to deserve. Oh, our dear friend Shirley has a comment. Oh, let me see if I can get that back up. Sometimes there's a deep underlying sense that we can spend our whole life attempting to understand and override. Yes, Shirley. And it's exhausting.
I am closing the room, so
Yeah. They get
1 minute.
Yeah. All right. I wonder if they think there was enough time.
Yeah. I guess we'll find out. You'll find out. You'll hear about it.
You're going to hear it at the exact same time I do. Jordan, was that enough time?
Plenty.
Because the complaint department opens in 18 minutes.
Fair enough.
You look like you're out hunting somewhere.
Yeah, we're at a lodge on
the
Mount
complaint
Hood.
department opens in 18 minutes. Wonderful. Uh-oh. Echo.
No, that's okay. That was just me.
Oh, I think we're streaming to Facebook and all.
Yeah.
Good job, us.
That's been nice.
Yeah, we
welcome
talk
back.
among each other about it.
Probably a different size screw, hey, that you're using.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Maria and I got into a small bet, but we both were betting on the same side. That was that was enough time for you.
Oh, it was perfect.
Right.
Good amount of time.
Finally, he got it right.
Finally.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, good. You know what? You know what that does? It makes me feel like I'm enough. It makes me feel like I did. Right.
Yes, you are.
So I wanted, we're going to do a exercise, and this is a Jewish, I'm pushing on Jewish tradition. The one was, who is rich? Whosoever is content with what they have. Another is this idea of a Sabbath, of making sure to take time off from doing so we can know we are enough. And there's another Jewish tradition that I share, which is if you've ever been to a Passover Seder, there is a prayer that is done, which is Dayenu. The word in Hebrew, the prefix "dai" means enough. It means it, and Enu means for us. So Dayenu is it's enough for me. It's enough for us. And in a Passover Seder, there's this sequence that's always done of, it would have been enough if God had freed us from slavery in Egypt, but God also gave us the 10 Commandments. And it would have been enough if God had freed us from Egypt and given us the 10 Commandments, but then God also gave us a Sabbath. And it would have been enough if God had done this and this and this and this and this, but God also did this. And in our household, we do it. We all go around. Some years we do differently, but most years we go around the table and we say, it would have been enough had I met my beloved when I did 29 years ago, Dayenu. But then I also was given the gift of 2 beautiful children, Dayenu. That would have been enough. But then we had the opportunity to move to Portland, where our life became so much more manageable. Dayenu, that would have been enough. But then we found ourselves in a neighborhood that's so beautiful, and that would have been enough. But then, and you just keep layering on, It would have been enough, but there's more. It would have been enough, but there's more. There would have been enough, but there's not. And I want to ask you to try that game. Start with any one sentence and theology aside, you don't have to use the God word, but if you're comfortable using the God word, use the God word. And I promise we will not think any differently of you because you use the 3-letter word God to mean something that you might not have meant to mean. But it would have been enough if God had given me Jane, but God also gave me Emmett and Annie. And it would have been enough if God gave me, you can make it fit your own.
We got it.
You get the game. I'd love to see, Andy, was that no, you were scratching your ear, weren't you? You were scratching your ear. Okay, sorry. I thought it was a tentative, I'm about to raise my hand. It was not. Can I get a volunteer to be a first one for it would have been enough? Michael, you're waving your hand like that. That's, teacher in me. Oh, yeah, not you. It would have been enough.
You're talking about me?
No, it was other Michael.
Other Michael.
Michael B. Wait, move this way and then move that way and look like hands. All right, so we're going to do this instead. What came out of your small groups? So much for my idea of doing Dainu. I will say this. Let me start with this, and then I'll get to Missy. You guys have taught me a lot about enoughness. This service has changed dramatically since we started it in COVID. And I used to prepare and do slides, and there was a theme song and a whole thing. And you guys have really taught me about enoughness. That really what it's about is having a topic and a community. And that's enough.
Could I suggest?
Go ahead, Meg.
I would like to suggest homework.
For yourself?
Well, no, for everybody else, not me. that we think about this week, what is enough? Your Diane. Okay. And maybe next week readdress that, because that to me is a huge question.
Wonderful. Missy, and then we're thank you, Meg. Missy, and then we're going to take a round for gratitude and prayers, but go ahead, Missy.
Well, first I was going to suggest the same thing that Meg just suggested. I need a minute to think about that because it is big. But I wanted to share what came up in our group because I think it relates to Dainu, that we can sometimes use the idea of enoughness as a cap, or it could limit us not to stretch for more, not to So,
right. That we can't say that racism, I'm doing enough to fight racism. No, you're not. I mean, you are, but you're not. And we can't do enough.
And we talked about new experiences, and growing in ways that if we can use contentedness against ourselves and become complacent, would be my words for it.
I like that.
And thanks.
So one of the things that helps us to feel enoughness is expressing gratitude. And as has become tradition in this group is we take a minute or so for us to express gratitude. So in whatever random order you see yourself on the screen, let's do a gratitude shout out. One thing I am grateful for is, and let's see how that goes.
Everyone
Friendship.
else.
Love.
This group.
Love.
Health improvement.
The trees that are surrounding me.
Emotional sobriety.
I'll go for the trees.
The stars.
My family.
My dogs.
My husband.
My cats.
My cats.
My breath.
Feeling enough.
My friends.
Yeah,
My dog.
Breakfast. Forgiving myself.
I love I love that we can have forgiving myself and breakfast be back to back.
That's beautiful.
Emotional sobriety and my cats. They're just it's a great span. It's all the things I'm grateful for. We are very grateful. Also, we are grateful for our health. And Maria, you have a list of people who we want to add some prayers and thoughts for.
I do. These are the people to whom we are sending light and love. Joe and Ken, Sheridan H., Rita S., Greg, Shirley W., Judy Love and her family, Ann M., Tane and Kelly, Peggy in spirit and her husband Ralph, Frank, Ollie, Beth, Patricia, Sandra and their families, Nish and Alvina, Noreen, Francis, Barbara and Barry Fain, Paul, Fern and Eileen, LD, Barry A. and Bob N., Sander and Amethyst Feinberg, Irma P., Giacomo Leone, Eileen and Frank DeToma, Joan D., Jack Elkind, Lisa and Michael, Fallon and Devon, Mary Wolf, Mary Ellen, Eloise, Athena and Adam, Claire Bennett, Lorena, and Bill and Karen. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. A minute of time. No, thank you. I have some announcements to make. One, if you haven't already collected your Religion Outside the Box membership card, I upgraded mine. Mine has a new status on it. I added it. It says status, I am enough. I'm not sure exactly the mechanics that help you to make your own Religion Outside the Box membership card that you are enough, but I do have this announcement to make as I make every week. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. Folks, I'm going to just spiel on this for a second. If you're having a hard time, yeah, that's how this goes. We have hard times, and it's okay to have a hard time. Beating yourself up for having a hard time is not fair. It's not nice. It's cruel. It's the opposite of what's needed. What's needed is unconditional positive regard for self, which means saying, I'm having a hard time and that's okay. It's okay to have a hard time. I don't know who it is that needs to hear this right now, but it's okay to have a hard time. It's okay not to be having it so easy. And it's okay. You want to reach out to somebody? Maria, could you make sure to post how they get into the Religion Outside the Box? Yeah. If you want to share your phone number with people there are people who want to share their phone numbers with you, and you can sign up through this Google form and get added to that list. Oh, here it is. Hold on one second. So I wanted to close out with a little bit more from this Pirkei Avot quote. It says, we got the who is rich. Who is rich is whosoever is content with what they have. But I wanted to show you the other ones it has. It says, who is wise? And the answer to who is wise is whosoever learns from everyone. That person is wise. And it asks, who is mighty? And it says, whosoever subdues their inclination to do evil. That's what might is. Might is not being able to bench press. Might is being able to not shame someone. Mighty is someone who subdues their evil inclination. Who is rich? We got that. And then finally, who is honored? And the answer to who is honored is whosoever honors others. Who is wise? Whoever learns from everyone. Who is mighty? Whosoever subdues their inclination to do evil. Who is rich? Whosoever is content with what they have. And who is honored? Whosoever honors others. Uh-oh. Oh no, it's getting really small. I can hardly see it at all. Who is wise?
Whoever learns from everyone else.
Whoever learns from everyone. That's wise. Who is rich?
He who's satisfied with what he has.
Anyone who's content. Who is honored?
Those who honor others.
He who honors others.
And who is mighty?
Those who suppresses his evil inclinations.
Whoever can push themselves from doing evil. Amen. Amen. Well, let me put everybody back up on the screen and we'll say goodbye to our friends who are on Facebook. Hi, Rita. Close up on you. I didn't expect that. There's everyone. Let's wave goodbye. Thank you to Maria. Thank you to everyone who's co-hosted. Thank you to everyone for being here. I have great gratitude, and we